Are you guys ready for the fastest 8 minutes in comics? What is happening, YouTube? This is your host, Lawrence, over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles, and welcome back to the show. Today is everybody's favorite video, the Hot 10 Comics of the Week Breakdown, where I take the 10 hottest comics according to the Key Collector app, and I break them down for you guys, letting you know which books I'm buying and which books I'm staying away from. But before we get started, like every video, I ask you guys, if you're not a current sub of the channel, you're missing out. Hit that sub button. We're almost at 8,000 subs, and I'm doing a giveaway. With that said, do me a real big solid and hit that like button for me, that thumbs up, trying to get this video out to everyone out there in the community. Now, with that said, let's get into this week's breakdown. Starting it off this week at number 10 is a copy of Venom Lethal Protector #1 and the first ongoing series featuring Venom. And last week we had a CGC 9.8 that sold for $185, up an insane 70% over the average. I gotta say this, I see this book all the time at my LCS at local shows for $20 in the raw form. I can't understand why everyone needs to own a 9.8 of a super printed book. To me, it's just not worth it. Back on the list at number 9 this week is a copy of Wolverine #1.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
You guys know what this book is, the first solo Wolverine title and a classic cover by the great Frank Miller. I cannot believe this book is back on this list. Last week we had a CGC 9.6 selling for $285, up 11% over that average. We also had a CGC 9.4 sale of $232, up another 23% over that average. Please, someone kill me. I can't take this anymore. If you want to own the book, spend up to $150. I think anything more than that is insane. Dropping to number 8 this week is a copy of Transformers #1 and the first team appearance of the Autobots and the Decepticons. Last week we had a CGC 9.4 sell for $325, but up a crazy 58% over the average. Then we had a CGC 9.2 sale for $219, but still up 29% over the average. What have I been saying on this book? This is a 1980s nostalgia book. That's what I call it. I love the Transformers, but if you watch my Elite Comics 11 sales video this week, I actually saw someone who bought an 8.0 signed by Frank Welker and Peter Cullen and only paid $275 for it. The deals are out there on this book. Other than that, I'm staying away. Holding strong at number 7 this week is a copy of Hulk #1 and the first cover appearance of the Red Hulk, General Thunderbolt Ross. And again, last week we had another CGC 9.8 sell for $360, but up another 35% over the average. What have I been saying? I'm not spending a dime on this book right here, right now. Let's wait for all the hype to die down if you want to own this book. Me, personally, I think this book is really worth $100 to $150. That's all I'm willing to spend. Other than that, I'm staying away. Dropping to the 6th spot this week is a copy of Incredible Hulk #340 and this classic cover by the great Todd McFarlane. And last week we had a CGC 9.8 sell for $1,080, up 2% over that average. Then we had a CGC 9.0 sale for only $235, but up 24% over the average. You know why this book is on this list? Of course, we have that great homage scene in Deadpool and Wolverine. You guys know I want to own this book, but I'm only willing to pay a certain amount to own it. I think low 200s for a super high grade is pretty good. Other than that, I'm staying away. I'm going to make a name for myself this week. At number 5, it is a copy of Uncanny X-Men #266 and the second appearance of Gambit. This is also the first cover appearance of Gambit in what I call the Money Book. And last week we had a CGC 9.8 sell for a whopping $725, up 14% over the average. You guys know I want to own this book, and I only want to own it personally in a 9.8. With that said, if you just want to own the book, I want to spend anywhere from $150 to $200 max. You don't need to break the bank, but I think a 9.8 right now is a little bit crazy priced. I don't want to pay $700 for this book. I think around $500 in a 9.8, I definitely pull the trigger. Other than that, I'm probably staying away. Back on the list at number 4 is some Silver Age goodness finally. It is a copy of Silver Surfer #1 and the first solo ongoing Silver Surfer series. This is also the origin of the Silver Surfer. And last week we had a super high grade CGC 9.0 sell for $3,735, up 1% over that average. Then we had a CGC 4.0 sale right up my alley for $425, up 5% over that average. You guys know this. I don't want to spend $3,000 to $4,000 on a super high grade copy of this one, although it may be worth it because there are not a lot of copies out there graded in super high grade. With that said, I think the 4.0, 5.0 for around $400 to $500 is right up my alley, like I said, and that I am definitely a buyer of. At the 3 spot this month is one of my favorite Silver Age Spider-Man covers. It is a copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 41 and the first appearance of the Rhino in this classic cover by John Romita Sr. And last week we had a CGC 7.0 sell for a cool $800, up 12% over the average. Then we had a CGC 5.0 sale for $472, but up a crazy 25% over that average. I'm not sure why this book is on this list. Could it be the Rhino that appeared in the new Kraven trailer? I'm not too sure. I still think they didn't get it 100% right, so I'm a little bit disappointed. But either way, you guys know I want to own this book, but you don't have to break the bank to own it. You can buy a 2.5 all the way up to around a 5.0. To me, that is the sweet spot. You can get a good deal on this book. But yes, I'm 100% a buyer of this one. We can't get away from this book. At number 2 this week, it is a copy of New Mutants 98 and the first appearance of Deadpool.
And yes, your underwear is getting tighter.
And last week we had a crazy sale, a CGC 9.8 selling for $1,575, up 22% over the average. Whoever bought this book for this price, you are obviously not watching these videos, and you're definitely not on Instagram because this book continues to drop, now under $1,000 for a CGC 9.8. You know I won't own this book, but I think it's going to drop to about $500 to $750, and that's where I'm a buyer. But for right now, I'm staying away. And finally, at the top spot for a second week in a row, it is a copy of Marvel Superhero Secret Wars number 8 and the origin of the Black Symbiote costume. And last week we had a CGC 9.8 sold for $650, up another 28% over the average. We all know this book is hot. We all know Secret Wars is coming, but this book, like I said last week, is a dime a dozen. Definitely a must own. Still a book you can find for cheap between $100 and $150. You don't need to own a 9.8. I'm not spending almost $700 for this one when there are a ton of copies out there. Hope you guys enjoyed this list. Some new books on the list, some of the same stuff that we've been seeing for the past couple years. I cannot believe Wolverine number 1 is back on this list. Regardless, it is now time for my best buy of the week, and it's a toss-up between ASM number 41 and Silver Surfer number 1, but as always, I'm going with the first appearance of the Rhino. To me, right now, you can still find this book for super cheap. Again, I love that Silver Surfer number 1. I definitely would buy it for around $400 to $500. No brainer there, but for me, this is my best buy of the week. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is Lawrence over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles saying thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon.